So, have you ever been there? You're super excited about a new learning goal. Maybe it's a language app, a coding course, or just a book you've been meaning to read. And then poof, a week later, all that enthusiasm is just gone. Yeah, you're definitely not alone. Today we're going to break down how to build learning habits that actually stick, using a system that works even when you're having an off day.
Okay, so let's just get right into it. Why is it so hard to stay consistent? We've all asked this. You've got the goal, you've got the tools, but actually showing up every day feels like pushing a boulder uphill. So what's going on? Is it that we just don't have enough willpower? Well, what if I told you the problem isn't you at all? It's the strategy you're using.
And this right here is the heart of the problem. We think of motivation as this reliable power plant, but it's really more like a flickering candle in the wind. It's an emotion, and just like any other emotion, it's totally unpredictable. It's awesome when it shows up, for sure, but you just can't build a lasting habit on a foundation that crumbles the second you feel a little tired or bored.
So here's our game plan. First, we'll dig into this motivation trap. Then, we're going to shift our whole way of thinking and focus on building a better system. From there, we'll get into the nitty-gritty. How to make starting completely effortless and quitting pretty much unthinkable. And finally, we'll wrap it all up into a simple, unbreakable plan you can start using today.
This brings us to the most important mindset shift we need to make. We have to stop trying to force ourselves to do things through sheer grit. Instead, we need to become architects of our own behavior. Seriously, it's not about having more willpower. It's about designing a smarter system where doing the right thing is actually the easiest thing.
And this chart just lays it out perfectly, right? On the left, you've got the old willpower method. It's all high effort, super unreliable, and it completely fails you when you need it most, like when you're tired or stressed. But the system method, over on the right, that's different. It's all about smart design. You remove the friction so being consistent becomes the path of least resistance. It's designed to work for you, not against you.
Okay, so how do we actually build this amazing system? Well, we start with the biggest hurdle of all, just getting started. The #1 barrier to any new habit is that initial push. So let's look at 3 incredibly powerful ways to make that first step almost laughably easy.
Our first strategy, and maybe my favorite, boils down to this single tiny number, 2. This is the famous 2-minute rule. So forget about study for an hour. Your new goal is open the book, or review 1 flashcard, or write 1 line of code. You shrink the habit down so small that the idea of not doing it just seems ridiculous. I mean, who can't do something for 2 minutes, right? It's too small to say no to.
And here's the psychology behind why this is so brilliant. The real challenge isn't doing the work. It's that moment of transition from not doing it to doing it. That's where all the friction is. The 2-minute rule hacks that transition. And what you'll find is, once you started and read for 2 minutes, you'll probably just keep going for 10 or 20. You've already gotten the ball rolling.
Now, building on that idea of making things easy, our next strategy is called habit stacking. The idea here is simple. Instead of trying to carve out a new time in your day for a habit, you just piggyback it onto something you already do automatically. It's a simple 2-step formula. Here's exactly what that looks like. The formula is, after I do my current habit, I will do my new habit. So pouring your morning coffee becomes the trigger to read a headline. Brushing your teeth becomes the trigger for flashcards. See? You're not relying on your memory or your motivation anymore. You're just letting your existing routine do all the heavy lifting for you.
The third strategy for making starting effortless is all about your physical space. You know, your environment is like this invisible hand that's constantly guiding your behavior. The goal is to make it work for you. You want to set things up so your learning habit is the most obvious, easiest thing to do, and your distractions are way harder to get to.
And this brings us to the rule of 20 seconds. Think about it. If you have to find your textbook, hunt for a pen, and clear off your desk just to get started, that's friction. And that little bit of friction is often all it takes for you to say, forget it, and just grab your phone instead. So what's the fix? Have your book and pen sitting on your desk, open and ready to go. You want to shrink that startup time to practically 0.
All right, we've made starting a piece of cake. But what happens on those days when your momentum starts to fade? The next piece of our system is all about building safety nets. These are strategies designed to make stopping even harder than continuing.
First up, we've got a classic strategy made famous by the comedian Jerry Seinfeld. He used this to keep up his daily writing habit. And it works by basically turning your consistency into a visual game you play against yourself.
The process couldn't be simpler. You get a big wall calendar, one you can't miss. And every single day that you do your 2-minute habit, you get to draw a big, satisfying red X over that day. And after just a few days, you'll start to see a chain of these X's forming.
And that right there becomes your single focus. Your job isn't to master calculus or become fluent in Spanish. Nope. Your only job is don't break the chain. It's a surprisingly powerful motivator because you see that visual proof of your progress, and you just don't want to let it go.
But let's be real for a second. You are going to break the chain at some point. Life happens. And that's where the never miss twice rule is your best friend. The insight here is that missing one day is just an accident. It's no big deal. But missing 2 days in a row, that's the beginning of a new bad habit. So the rule is simple. No matter what, you get back on track the very next day.
Now, for our final safety net, we're going to bring someone else into the picture. Because, let's face it, it's pretty easy to break a promise we make to ourselves. But it's so much harder to break a promise we've made to another person. This creates a little bit of positive social pressure that can make all the difference.
And if you want to really supercharge this, you can use a powerful psychological trigger called loss aversion. Basically, we humans hate losing things way more than we enjoy gaining them. So you tell a friend, hey, if I don't text you a screenshot of my completed lesson by 10 p.m., I will immediately send you $5. Trust me, the fear of losing that money is an incredible motivator. So we've got all these amazing strategies in our toolkit. Now let's see how we can combine them into one simple, cohesive daily plan that you can actually use.
Check this out. This is what it looks like in practice. You've got your trigger from habit stacking. After I pour my coffee, you've got your ultra simple action. I will open my notebook. The reward is immediate and satisfying. I get to drink the coffee. And crucially, you have your safety net, which is just the 2-minute rule in disguise. If I'm crazy busy, I only have to write one sentence. That's enough to mark your X for the day and not break the chain.
And that brings us to the end. You now have the complete toolkit. The question is no longer, how do I find the motivation? The real question is, how can I design a better system for myself? So I'll leave you with this. What is the first ridiculously small 2-minute habit you are going to start today?